Triandi Mapingumagumnang from the College of Social Sciences and Humanities and from the Library of Information Science. So for today's videos, I'm going to report Chapter 9, which is entitled The Global Environmental Flaws. So first of all, what is global environmental flaws? So the global environmental flaws, it is the quantity, quality, and the timing of water flows required to sustain fresh water, ensuring ecosystems and the human livelihood, and as well as the well-being that depends on it. So according to Stevens 2005 323-33, the most enduring and important issues in the study of globalization involves its relationship to the environment. Further, much that relates to the environment has an impact on and flows around, just like the weather patterns, the world, or at least the large portions of it. So in global environmental flaws, it has a theory which is called ecological modernization theory. That is said here that it is an economic and technological development hand in hand with the decline in negative effects on the environment. So are the differences among nation states. So what is nation? A nation is a large body of people united by common descent, history, culture, or language inhabiting a particular country or territory. And in states, a centralized political organization that imposes and enforces rules over a population within a territory. So are the characteristics of nation states. In nation, it has common descent, government, common language, geographical boundaries, and the common cultural practices. And in state, it has a people, territory, government, and lastly, the sovereignty. So collapse. According to J. Diamond, collapse in the year 2006, he concludes that not all civilizations that collapse in the past have done so because of environmental cause, but at least some have. So, the amount and type of damage that people inadvertently inflict on their environment is one factor in collapse due to environmental causes. Then damage will depend in part on what people do and in part on the degree of fragility or resilience of their environment and its ability to restore itself. And the another factor affecting degree of damage is the way in which different societies respond to these environmental problems. The nature of the problem makes it impossible for significant ecological problems, including collapse, to be isolated to one local in the global age. Now, let's move on to the destruction of natural habitats. So, according to Diamond 2006-487, the destruction of natural habitats, it is the destruction or conversion into human habitats of natural habitats such as the forests, wetlands, coral reefs, and the ocean bottom. And the major factor in the collapse of the past societies is the deforestation. So, as you can see, I attach here an image of an example of an destruction of the natural habitat. So, which is a forest. So the loss of the forest leads to other problems for humans, including the loss of timber and other raw materials. It is a great of concern, especially in the areas undergoing deforestation. So because forests provide us with so-called ecosystem services such as protecting our watersheds, protecting soil against erosion, constituting essential steps in the water cycle that generates much of our rainfall, and providing habitat for most terrestrial plant and animal species. So today, the most notable deforestation in the world is taking place in the Amazon rainforest. So as you can see, I attach again an image of an example of the destruction of the natural habitats, which is the Amazon rainforest. So The Amazon rainforest also is being decimated to allow the area to be developed to create farms and areas for livestock to graze and for the certain of more human settlements. So, the decline of fish. So, the decline of fish, it is a large fraction of protein consumed by humans comes from fish and to a lesser extent shellfish. Many fishing areas, the Mediterranean, are in decline or have collapsed. So, marine life in the world's ocean has been greatly diminished by overfishing. And the major culprit in the decimation of marine life is the industrial fishing. So, according to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, 69% of the world's most important fisheries can be considered either fully exploited or overexploited by Cachadorian 2007, column 69. The decline in freshwater. Conca 2006 said that water is becoming an increasingly important global issue, or rather it raises a number of different issues. The water-related problem is the melting due to global warming of mountain-top glaciers, which are an important source of the flow of drinking water to many people in the world. As those glaciers melt and fail to reform fully, they will produce less and less water for those below them who need the water to survive. So these are the concerns to the declining of fresh water said by Martin 2008. The first one is the water pollution, the flooding, increasing scarcity of water, the need to choose between water to drink, the crops or food that can be produced with it, and the possibility that the flow of water could slow or stop completely, at least in some locals. So the last concern also is the desertification, said by Glantz 1977. So the poorest areas of the globe, largely in the south, and the poorest people within those areas, especially children and women, experience a disproportionate share of water-related problems. And the transport of bottled water, most outrageous example is the Fiji water. Because Fiji water, water produced and bottled in Fiji and the South Pacific and transported thousands of miles to places like New York and London. So as you could see, I attached on a map of Fiji, which is located in the South Pacific. So next one is the May 2008, Barcelona became the first major city in the world to begin bringing the large amounts of water by ship to help deal with the long-term drought and precipitous drop in water resources. So in southern Europe, areas are most likely to grow drier, which is the Middle East, South Australia, Patagonia, and the southern western U.S. The paradox of bottled water. Water is becoming an increasingly important global commodity as many places run low on, and in some cases begin to run out of drinkable water. But the bottled water has become a global commodity, commanding relatively high prices. However, it is too expensive for the poorest people in the world who may be most in need as a result of the decline in available water supplies. So, the executive director of the Rainforest Action Network said that bottled water is a business that is fundamentally, inherently, and unalterably unconscionable. No side deals to protect forests or combat global warming can offset that reality, said by Deutsch 2007, column C3. So let's move on from the last topic, which is the toxic chemicals. So according to Diamond 2006, column 491, various industries, especially the chemical industry, manufacture or release into the air, soil, ocean, lakes, and rivers of many toxic chemicals. Among the culprits are the insecticides, pesticides, and herbicides, mercury and other metals, fire retardant chemicals, refrigerator coolants, detergents, and components of plastics. All of these have a variety of immediate and more usually long-term negative effects on humans and other forms of life. So the persistent organic pollutants or the POPs are highly toxic and it is an human-made chemicals. And according to DENAM 1993, 2007, column 955-7, among the POPs are polychlorinated biphenyls or the PCBs, once used as coolants in various pesticides, especially DDT or the dichlorodiphenyl trichloroethylene. And the four common characteristics of POPs are they are highly toxic, they are persistent, remaining in the environment for years before breaking down, and becoming less harmful that can travel great distances. So, lastly, the impact of POPs can be magnified through processes of bioaccumulation and biomagnification in which their concentration build up along the food chains. And that will be all.